all this shit. There's like people trying to kill you, aliens trying to kill you, androids trying to kill you. All these puzzles you have to figure out. All this walking around like stealthily, and at the end, like you just like nothing happens. You just get on board your ship and there's an alien, and you let it out the airlock, and the game is done.
It's traditional. It's a traditional alien movie.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy. There we go. Cheers. Check that periodically, make sure the juice is going good. What do you want to talk about with the? So we were just talking about. We're sitting outside Austin's Coffee and Film right now. I'm here with Brandon.
What's up?
I had the day off work, and I was just like, I usually don't get out of bed unless someone else is.
No, I texted you, like, I woke up, I was just laying in bed, I texted you. I was like, what's Jerry up to? He's right across the street.
Yeah. I've been doing roofing for the past 3 days, and I now understand why that shit's so expensive.
I bet.
Yeah. It's like a Saw movie. Like, I want to play a game. Going to climb up this ladder with 300 pounds worth of shingles on your back.
Perfect. That sounds fantastic.
You're going to try and not slip on this gravel that accumulates from the debris. It's like ice if you step on it, and if you fall, you're going to land in a bed of crooked, rusty-ass nails.
Perfect. Some of you may die, but that's a risk we're willing to take.
And that's if you don't fall through one of these open holes. Do I get a harness? A what?
Nope. This is not OSHA approved.
But people have to do that, man. That's what every single structure around the world, like someone had to get up there and roof that shit.
Yeah. It makes me feel very privileged because I've never done that, and I wait tables, and it's easy money.
The guy was telling me, like, if you really want to see what real hard workers do, he said, look up what there are these Native Americans that worked on the Empire State Building. It's
Really?
like, check out what they did.
Oh, and that's before all the labor laws and everything, so they're probably working like 15-hour days.
Oh, what labor laws? Paying them what? You know?
Nothing, yeah.
They said that the guys used to chill out behind the fence at the construction site. If they kicked somebody off the job, they would just look over the fence and be like, you're next. You're getting up there. They built that thing in a year.
That's insane.
And the eyesore on I-4 over by Altamont Springs
Is it 10 years, 15 years that it's been there? Still not finished?
Nova Prospect, my buddy used to call it from Half-Life.
Did you ever hear that there was two like really wealthy businessmen? One was building the Empire State Building and one was building the Chrysler Building, and they kept on going, a new story every day, and both of them were wondering which was going to be bigger. And then I don't remember if it was I think it's the Chrysler Building has that really neat spire on top, and it was just a little bit higher than the Empire State Building because they both wanted to say they had the highest building in the world. And at the time, they completed the Empire State Building, and it was the highest building in the world for a few days. And then the Chrysler Building, they had constructed the spire on top of the building, but not put it up yet. And when they raised it, it became the highest building in the world.
Right, I remember that. It was the spires. Maybe think of the, what's that building in Dubai?
The Burj Khalifa.
Half a mile.
We're getting to a point where we're going to start having probably like mile-high skyscrapers in our lifetime, I bet.
It's going to look like Blade Runner, bro.
Yeah. Mega City 1 from, what's that? With the
Kira?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be crazy. So what made you want to talk about... Yeah, so we're off today. We're up at Austin's, and we're just talking about a bunch of different cool shit. I don't know, man. I think, like... Part of me wants to... Okay, so the Dalai Lama said this one time. The Dalai Lama said... When they asked him, what fascinates you the most, he said, man. Because he spends all his time, he sacrifices his health to make all the money he can, and then he spends all his money trying to recoup his health.
It's true.
He lives as if he's never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. I don't want to be a bum. I need to pay rent, you know?
Well, right. I mean, I think there's certain things like you can or you can't do. Like, nobody says you have to live inside. Nobody says you have to go to work, but you do those things because you like having shelter over your head. But I don't know. I think, like, finding meaning in life is very individualistic. Like, some people want to build up that 401k, and that brings them happiness and peace, and some people want to go hike that trail in California and spend 4 months walking. I don't know, as long as you're happy, right?
Yeah, Peterson was saying in his book about how between I think 1997 and 2012, the number of women uh, who said that a solid marriage was one of their top goals rose from like 25% to like 37%.
Huh.
Don't quote me on those numbers. But then that same number with men dropped from, I think, like somewhere in the realm of like 25% to like 18%.
Well, I feel like that might just be like natural biology of humans, because women can have one offspring every year, and men can have a baby every day if they want to.
Right.
So I think men like naturally are less prone to monogamy than women.
Men are less prone to monogamy. It's a guy thing.
Yeah.
I think it's true in the gay culture too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's definitely true, because we're pretty promiscuous. We can be pretty promiscuous, gay men.
Yeah. Try to scoot a little closer. There you go. You can scoot the chair a little closer. Whatever you got to do to adjust yourself. Yeah. I just want to make sure it picks you up enough. Yeah, my buddy over at a comic shop, Oral, he was like, "Oh, dude, we'll hook up with like 2-3 people in the same night. We don't care." And
No
the thing
fucks.
is, that's a guy thing.
Yeah.
That's definitely a guy thing. It's not necessarily a girl thing. From what I mean, shows what I know. I'm not a woman, but the whole idea of it being, well, why is marriage less important? And what Jordan Peterson talked about was the advent of like the hookup sites,
Right.
or just the nature of the one night stands, the hookups. I don't know. Marriage is like a more important issue to me now at 31 than it was when I was 21. When I was sitting at this very same cafe. Shout out to Austin's Coffee. Woo! Shout out to Jackie and Sean. It's more important to me now, but I've seen people, man, that, had kids when they were 17, 18, and they go, oh, you make it work. You figure it out. I saw something from Black People Twitter the other day where it said there's a concern that millennials are not going to have enough children to make up the population gap or something like that. And, and this lady's like, oh, so you want me to have kids in addition to working 3 jobs to pay my rent?
Right. Well,
No.
I read that Caucasian America is still going to be, like, by the numbers, the highest population in the country, but no longer will they make up 50% or more of the United States, which is like, the U.S. is a melting pot, so who cares what color we are? But yeah, coming up in our lifetimes, in the next 10 to 20 years, like, Caucasian Americans will make up less than 50% of the United States population, which is pretty interesting.
I saw a pretty good Black People Twitter on that too. It said, why white people so concerned about being a minority? It's not like they're treated badly in this country, are they?
Exactly.
Oh. The world news. You wanted to talk about the opioid crisis, man. There's always... so obviously Elon Musk launched his fucking car into space.
I saw that.
What a boss.
Or I saw that. I just hope that in 300 years it comes back seeking, like, having gained sentience, seeking its creator.
Yes.
V'ger.
What? Why have you returned to our planet? And the car's like, your planet.
Exactly.
Did you ever see The Day the Earth Stood Still with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Fuck, he doesn't make a bad movie, does he?
No, I don't think he does.
Oh. Bermuda becomes world's first country to repeal same-sex marriage legislation.
Wow.
Dude, chime in
Well,
on
it had
any
to happen
topic.
eventually.
Australia's Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce, who strongly opposed gay marriage, arguing it was against traditional family values, is expecting a baby with his former staff member after leaving his wife for 24 years.
It's always the men that are diddling younger women. It's always the men that have secret homosexual relationships that are the most conservative in the way they present themselves to the world. And it makes sense. Like, if you're raised in like a really strict church, like whatever, you're raised Mormon, and they teach you that some people just have these thoughts, but it's your call to be strong with God. Like, I get it. Like, I get where they're coming from. They think they have these impure thoughts and they don't have to act on them, and they're trying to be, like, they're trying to present God's grace, but it's really unhealthy to think that way.
Russians successfully hacked into U.S. voter system, says official. In other news, the sky's blue.
Yeah.
As opposed to us hacking into our own voting system.
I know, it's almost like when the United States meddles in other countries' elections. Like, God forbid.
Yeah, or in the Olympics. Israeli police recommended indicting Netanyahu for corruption.
Wow.
U.S. producers now export between 1.5 million and 2 million barrels of crude a day, which could rise to about 4 million by 2022. The nation's output is expected to account for more than 80% of global supply growth in the next decade. So I take it we're not going to see solar in Florida anytime soon.
Well, there's actually laws against it. We got to experience Hurricane Irma last October, September, whatever that was. And the reason so many people had no power for so long was not only because companies like Duke and Seco took a while to get the grid back up and running, but Florida has made it illegal if you are connected to the grid to have solar panels on your roof.
That's fucked up.
It is fucked up. I understand the reasoning behind it. It's because if the grid goes down and you have solar panel, you're actually leaching back into the grid and producing a small current that feeds back into the power, back to the power company. In some places, you can actually get a credit for creating energy for the grid with your solar panels. The problem is, though, pardon me. The problem is, though, that that's outdated. You don't create a back supply now. You actually, by law, now are required to store the extra energy that you don't use in batteries. So the law that was meant to protect grid workers is a little bit archaic and outdated at this point. But the state has no intention of repealing that law anytime soon.
I think they do that in Vegas too and stuff. There's certain places like Arizona where you can sell your energy back to the grid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you're an anarchist, like Vegas is the place to be.
Yeah.
Legal solar energy, pretty much legal drinking for everybody, legal prostitution.
So victimless crime, buddy.
Hey, sex work is valid work. I'll say it over and over. If you're happy being a prostitute, like, no one should stop you. If you're getting tested and you're healthy, like, who cares?
Don't tell somebody else what to do with their body, man.
Right.
So speaking of, we go to this truck. See, this is what would be cool if we had we had a camera, we could actually be filming this out here, which we should do this next time we got a day off, man. Because I don't like sitting in the house. There's something about sitting in the house. I don't want to do it.
You're not meant to be inside all the time.
No. It's super fucking depressing. Bro,
Yeah.
Saturday, I didn't have anything to do. My plans got canceled. I was sitting at home, and I was, like, going crazy. Like, I understand learning to be okay. And, like,
I'm
by
off this
yourself.
Saturday coming up if you want to go see a movie or something.
Yo, actually, Saturday we're going to Faux. We're
Where?
going to Faux 88 with Austin.
I might be down.
Scott, come on. Yeah, and I'm gonna pick up Mike Rivera from, and I'm gonna pick him up and do that. So we're doing like a little guys' night.
I'll go.
Guys'
I'm down.
night. They're bringing, well, it's not really guys because they're bringing their girls and stuff, but we're probably gonna do.
Maybe
stuff
I'll bring
afterwards.
the other guy.
You bring the other guy. Yeah, bring your guy. Taiwan accepts earthquake aid from Japanese rescuers after refusing help from Beijing. Damn.
Huh.
Okay. U.S. reports 9 Abrams tanks ended up with Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. I'm surprised they knew how did they learn to work those things?
All the training we provided them, probably.
Oh, this is cool. Police in China have begun using sunglasses equipped with facial recognition technology to look for wanted suspects.
My friend works at Walmart, and if you ever steal from Walmart, they take a picture of your face, and then from that point forward, when you walk into a Walmart, everyone's face gets highlighted. If you've never been caught stealing, they highlight your face in green when you're walking through the store, and if you've ever been caught stealing, they highlight your face in red. And that way the managers that are sitting in the back and have access to the security feeds can be like, oh, someone who shoplifted here 6 years ago just walked in the store. Keep an eye on them.
That's awesome and scary at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We've got, like, what's the app where you can take pictures and put masks on your face? Is it, I don't have it, but I know a lot of people do.
Oh, an app where you can electronically mask your face?
Well, no. It's not Twitter. It's Snapchat.
Snapchat, the facial filters.
It has a facial filter, and it recognizes your face.
Facebook Messenger does it too.
Yeah.
Those goofy little filters. It's like, oh, by the way, there's
like they have to be mapping and tracking your face to do that.
There's criminological applications to it too. Yeah. And have you seen it? I did it one time where I was like, oh, what's this? The filter. And it goes boom, and it puts a little grid over your face.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fucking sorcery. So how does that work? It's clearly magic. Clearly.
Just like electricity. Clearly magic.
Clearly. So we're all doing some stuff about the opioid crisis, because that's definitely...
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like #1 cause of death for Americans under 50. last year in the United States, 66,000 people overdosed on opioids, from Oxycontin to fentanyl to heroin, and it's killing rapidly, and no one seems to be doing much about it. It's like the elephant in the room. We all know it's happening, and no one's doing anything about it. And addiction can hurt anybody. You know, it's not a class problem. It's not a gender problem. It's not a race problem. Like it kills indiscriminately.
Exactly. Well, guess what? So this is from 14 days ago. Well, yeah, we recently lost a couple friends to this. You know, rest in peace, Dr. Tron. He's somebody you saw in this podcast.
Yeah.
Somebody you saw in this podcast. He's the guy in the hospital room that we did a podcast with, and then he did, I think, UFC 218, the one with Ngannou and Overeem. And we really miss that guy.
Indeed.
14 days ago, illegal shipments of the powerful and addictive opioid fentanyl are pouring in to the United States by mail from China, and the U.S. Postal Service must step up the use of high-tech detection methods to fight the problem, according to a congressional report unveiled on Wednesday. 9 die in Vancouver in 24 hours from fentanyl opioid overdose. Remember, I was just talking about the Insight Clinic on the way here in the car. They have the needle clinic, and people still dying from that shit.
Well, I took an Uber to work. This was probably a month or two ago, and I got to chatting with the driver. And a lot of the Uber drivers have other jobs that they do, and this is just their extra money. This Uber driver happened to be an EMT, and she was telling me that this county here in Florida that we live in can't purchase enough. What do they give you for opioids?
Narcan.
They can't provide enough Narcan to the county to keep up with demand. She said they're Narcanning like 100 people a day in this county.
Yeah, 100 people a day in this county. In Orange County.
In like the greater Orlando area.
Yeah, we're in central. For those of you that don't know, we're in Central Florida. So we're sitting here in Winter Park, which is like up the road from Orlando. If you think of Disney, Disney's actually in a place called Lake Buena Vista, Kissimmee area. It's a little bit south. It's like Colorado Springs versus Denver. I don't know. It's we're in the actual Orlando, the real Orlando. Orlando's just where you fly in though to go to Disney.
Right.
So there's 100 people a day just getting narc, and
now they're also putting fentanyl and cocaine. Like the fentanyl and the heroin makes sense because you're just cutting the heroin with something stronger to make yourself
with more opiates.
With more opiates, but if you're doing cocaine, if you're doing opiates, like first of all, you're not alone. Like reach out. Like somebody wants to help you. I can guarantee it. Second of all, if you're doing cocaine, like be cognizant because they are putting fentanyl in cocaine now, and it's people that have never done opiates in their lives are getting a huge dose of fentanyl and they're dying instantaneously.
And now, I don't know if this is going to help anything, but now you know about the new law they passed in Florida. Is it federal?
I'm not sure.
But you know what I'm talking about? Where if I sell you drugs, so if I sell you like heroin, if I sell you drugs and you overdose and you die, Brandon,
it's a death penalty, or like it's
I get
murder?
charged with your murder.
Wow.
And you get the full. Eric, Boston Eric, he was on the podcast too, guys. He was with the Stipe. He was at the Stipe Ngannou fight. He's over to the left of the screen if you see him. He said, "No, man, you get the full 25."
Wow.
For that, 25 to life. But the thing is, what happened was there was an overdose, and when they grabbed the dead kid's phone, they saw a guy texting. The guy had just messaged him like, "Yo, where's my money? Where's my money?" Well, it's pretty obvious who this kid got the drugs from, and so they fucking charged him with his murder.
Damn.
But you want to know something? That ain't gonna fucking do shit.
No, it's not gonna. The only thing that's gonna do anything is if we start focusing on treatment and rehabilitation.
It brings treatment and rehabilitation actually brings the number of the percentage of drug use down more at about 1/100th of the cost.
Right. And in my personal experience, as someone who's both witnessed and experienced the pain of addiction, the most effective method is not one that you pay for. It's not one that's for profit. It's usually some sort of fellowship style recovery that you've got better. You focus on yourself and done enough self-reflection that you're able to now to help somebody else and do the same. And in my personal opinion, that's the number one way to get past and through addiction is to help somebody else or be helped by somebody else who has dealt with it.
Huh. is from 3 months ago. The drug of fighters. Police seize 24 million opioid tablets linked to ISIS.
Wow. Well, that's another thing. You know, the opioids. A lot of the stuff is coming out of like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq. You're funding ISIS when you buy these things. Not that that's going to be enough to deter somebody who's in the throes of addiction, but that's like another problem with the whole issue is we are funding terrorism.
Yeah, and human trafficking, child sex trafficking, murder for hire. You know, that actually brings to another good point. What if the government just legalized it? Here in 3 months ago, frontline workers give drug users clean drugs, unquote, to battle spike in opioid overdoses in Canada. It's like the whole Suboxone thing. These guys need their opioid fix. Give them prescription opioids. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what Suboxone is. You know, yeah, it's addictive. Yeah, I was on it for a year and a half. You know, it's not fun to come off of, but I also wasn't running around trying to score on the street, and I was trying to get help. And then eventually, when I was like, okay, I don't need this anymore. It was a rough week. I didn't sleep much, but it was just a week. You know, when I was done, I was done.
And from what again, in my personal experience, when you're suffering from addiction, like it is legitimate mental illness. You have lost control. You have lost the ability to choose whether or not you're going to put that substance into your body. So from someone who's never experienced addiction or witnessed addiction, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, just don't do it. But from the bottom of my heart, like that is not a possibility. If you're truly experiencing addiction, like just not doing it is not a possibility. So getting clean drugs from the government to wean yourself off is probably one of the safest routes to go.
It's harm reduction, not elimination. My battery's dying on this. You want to go down the street with me, get some more batteries?
Sure.
All right, let's do it. We're going to take a break here, folks. We'll be right back.
Retirement, if we need to.
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with the Navy, dude. Like the Navy, there was a museum back in Virginia Beach called Nauticus, and they did a little simulation of like what it's like to call the shots on a ship. Mm-hmm. Remind me where the bank is. Me and Brandon are here in the car. We just decided to pick it up on the road. 10 things I hate about you is playing at the Enzion.
Oh, we should go check it out.
Holy shit.
Tell Ricky to let's go to that.
Dude. I'll bring Joe. But yeah, they're able to, like, you can't attack it. Like, you can't attack it. Like, anything you throw at it will be destroyed. Mm-hmm. There's Gatling guns that'll just shoot missiles out of the sky. There's helicopters that'll drop torpedoes in after submarines. There's a radar system. It's called the Aegis.
We're gonna get the right lane eventually.
Oh, thank you. It's called an Aegis, and apparently that's the name of like a shield that was used in Athenian. Or it was like an Athenian shield, or like a Greek weapon. And it's so cool. And the coolest thing about our military is the names they come up with on stuff. So we spend 10 times as much on our military as China, and those are our next biggest competitors. You know, I have it on good source that when we were going through the Cuban Missile Crisis, mm-hmm. there was no strategy to set one foot on Cuba. We were just gonna destroy it.
Just nuke the shit out of it.
There was gonna be no Cuba left if
you ever heard
things
about,
escalated.
We have some pretty big hydrogen bombs, but they don't compare to the Tsar bomb out of Russia. Have you heard about that one? Mm-hmm. It was designed to be 100 megatons, which a megaton is 1,000 kilotons, and the bombs we dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima were like 10 to 15 kilotons. So this is something that's 100,000 times more powerful than those bombs. It's right up here on the right.
Cool.
And this thing is just massive. There's a thing you can look up on the internet called like Nuke Map, and you can input like coordinates and you can input strength of a bomb. And so I was curious. I was like, what would this Tsar bomb do to Central Florida? And it's just like complete devastation from coast to coast. Like if this thing went off an airburst above Orlando, like we would all be fried, and everybody.
The whole state would be cut in half.
The whole state would be just destroyed, right down the middle.
All right, so you're going to the bank for a little bit. I'm going to pause.
Be right back.
Well, cool, man. Had a good little podcast today, didn't we?
I had fun.
Yeah. Well, good luck with everything tonight. I think I'll definitely consider that work. I'm glad we talked a little bit about the opioid crisis. Talked a little bit about the state of the military. Come up with some topics, man. What I like about you, man, is that you are willing to get together on this stuff on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. Anytime.
You know, we can kind of talk about the week in general as it goes. So
Right.
for all you listening out there, I'm Jerry,
I'm Brandon.
and this was
Trash talk.
Trash Talk, but we called it Road Rash.
Road rash.
I think that's definitely a cop. All right, viewers, thank you so much. Please subscribe, like, and we'll be back with me and Brandon will be back, or Brandon and I will be back here a little bit later. Take care.
Good talk.